Welcome, welcome to the big full blue moon in Aquarius that will be actually on Sunday, 8 in the morning. So I have to wait to the evening, but I promise it'll still be there. Nice, big, and bright and full. It's a blue moon because it's the second full moon in the sign of Aquarius. We had the first one few weeks back. And so here, this one is a really special moon in a couple of ways. It's at the 29th degree of Aquarius, which is a power degree, 0 degrees of any sign, and all the signs have just 30 degrees. So 29 is the final degree. When you actually get to 30, it actually goes to 0. So there's no 30th degree per se. But the 29th degree is a degree of completion. So it's a degree of mastery. So it's a really special place, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit more when we get into it. But I just want to start off talking about the idea of full moons, and full moons in general are a time of expression. It's the full shebang, bringing to light that which is in the shadows, that's which was hidden. You know, the new moon is a time when we're really introspective and the energy's going in, and the heart is kind of contained. And while with the full moon, it's wide open. So it's a big time, a big time for expression. So full moon in Aquarius, and always about full moons are always about that expression, that bringing out into the open, expressing the emotions. The moon is our emotional nature, our heart, our connection to the life force and the beating force within us. So it's a big time to get out and have fun and be expressive and be yourself. So what is that about? Aquarius. Aquarius is about being yourself. It's about finding your uniqueness. It's about really expressing. The full moon in Aquarius then is expressing what you feel and just drawing from your own source, the source of your heart. So it's a special place in that sense. The Aquarius Leo axis, Leo is on the opposite side of Aquarius. So each of the signs is actually a polarity of two signs. So like a Aries and Libra, or Virgo and Pisces, in this case, Leo and Aquarius. So Leo is the sign of warmth and connection, and it's the archetypes of the child, the performer, the queen or the king, the royalty, the sense of being proud, being in your honor, and seeing that in others, and bringing that out, and finding connection with other people. While Aquarius is a little bit more about being in your own genius, your own uniqueness. It's about how you roll to the beat of your own drum. You know, what you do that's just you, that's Aquarian. It's the image then is the water bearer. So you see the lady with the jug pouring the water into the stream. It's the stream of life and the new water. So the waters of life pouring forth anew, always bringing new life and new ideas. Aquarius, even though all this water imagery of flowing, it's the flowing forth of new ideas. So even though it's the water imagery, it's an air sign. And the air signs are all about communication and ideas and thoughts and words and that kind of stuff. So in the realm of the mind. So genius ideas, the archetypes of Aquarius are the rebel, the outlaw, the genius. So it's kind of like the fool on the hill, you know, that one that's just sitting on the hill, and that idea that, you know, everyone else might think they're a fool, but really they're in their own heart, and they're in their own, lined up with their own mind. And so in some ways, this Leo Aquarius axis is about aligning the heart and the mind, because the Leo is that heart connection to everyone, and feeling kinship with everyone, like everyone's part of the royal family, so to speak, and finding that, seeing the royalty, seeing the honor, seeing the pride, the place that everyone has here on this great earth. Well, Aquarius is more about finding your own unique place on this earth and your own unique voice. And so the voice of mastery, this 29th degree of Aquarius, is really where we're at, and it's a powerful time for expression too. This moon is conjunct to Jupiter, so I want to talk about basically about three main things with this chart that's going on right now. And so that's the first one. The full moon is conjunct to Jupiter. And then we have a Uranus-Mars trine that's exact and at 14 degrees. And so we'll talk about that, Uranus and Mars. We've been talking about Uranus and Saturn all year, and it's still going on all year. Uranus, the great disruptor. So Mars, our energy, our action, our decisions, our desires. And so bringing those together, we're going to talk about that a little bit. And then lastly, there's a Venus and Saturn trine right now. So those are working together. The trines are working together, flowing harmoniously. And so we'll talk about that. Venus, our inner magnetism, our relationship, how we relate to others, and the kinds of experiences and things we draw into our life. Saturn being our maturity and our structure. So how is that coming into play with this full moon? And so we'll start off with that moon Jupiter conjunction. And I'm going to go ahead and pull up a chart here so I can show you what I'm talking about. And so here it is. We got the astrology chart, full moon in Aquarius. You can see that it's here on 8/22. That's Sunday morning at 8:02 a.m. And here we have the sun, and here we have the moon. They're always opposite each other on the full moon. In the chart, the center part, the center circle is us. It's the Earth. It's where we are. And so that's from our perspective. The sun's on one side, the moon's on the other. Thus, the moon is really bright, beautiful. So here we see the moon and Jupiter together, conjunct. That means they're sitting together. And so Jupiter is our expansion. It's how we expand into life, how we leap into, how we develop our faith and take leaps of faith and leap into that which is greater than what we know. So it's kind of the lucky planet. It was always known as the great benefic, or the great beneficial influence. So a lot of luck and capability going on with that Jupiter combination, Jupiter moon combination. So bringing out, having faith in the emotions, having faith in ourselves, and faith in, so as I said, this at the 29th degree is this degree of mastery. In any of the signs, it's a power degree. And so mastery of Aquarius, when we come into Aquarius at 0 degrees, then it's sort of like a baby Aquarius. It's like we're just new to the sign and all the kind of stereotypical Aquarian things of, just being different, kind of doing things your own way, maybe being a little ornery, or a little, it can come across as abrasive sometimes to people, but that's just because it's different, and people like things that feel the same, but that's not very interesting. So Aquarius is really interesting and different and genius, and it's about bringing forth that energy. So finding the inner mastery. So I would ask you, you might ask yourself, what am I stepping into in my future? What is coming to light right now that speaks to my own genius, my own ideas, my own voice? Really, what do I have to say and share in the world that's of valuable contribution? And it's a valuable contribution because it's coming from a true place. It's coming from the heart here in Leo. So there's always this integration going on. Even though the full moon's in Aquarius, it's about integrating the Leo sun and the Aquarius moon. And so that's where it draws out from the shadows into the light. And so what's in the shadows of Leo is to say, what's in the shadows of, where are we hiding in the shadows? And so this Aquarius is kind of drawing us out, drawing out our uniqueness. It's not so much about connecting with others as the Leo energy is. And so in its low side, it can be kind of catering to the attention of others, looking for that attention, looking to be on stage. And its high side, it's about just embracing and seeing the best in others. But so this moon draws that out. It draws this anywhere we're kind of hiding in ourselves and afraid of that attention. This Aquarian moon then draws that out and helps us to see, what are our big ideas? What are your big ideas? And where are you going with that? Where might that take you in life? So this moon actually is somewhat square to the axis of the nodes of the moon, which is right here. And so we can see it's an out of sign square, but these nodes of the moon are really about where are we moving in our evolution, you know, and in this case, the south node is the past and the north node is the future. So moving from Sagittarius to Gemini, it's an energy of moving from knowing to finding out, from knowing to inquiring. So Sagittarius in the south node in Sagittarius is kind of where we've been comfortable, where we've been a little too comfortable in what we know, in our beliefs, and a little too rooted in our beliefs. And so really we're being drawn forward and drawn out of our beliefs and into new experience. And into Gemini is about, you know, look over here, look over there. Let's find something new. Let's talk about something new. Let's share new ideas. Let's you know, do new things and get into the details of life. Sagittarius is the beliefs, the big pictures, where Gemini is more the little things, the details. And so this moon being square to that, again, these aspects are about integration. So we're integrating our own genius with new ideas. How is that fitting in to new explorations and communications in the world? And so particularly here, conjunct to Jupiter is about big ideas. You know, it's where are we growing? What are we growing into? Jupiter is something that we're not going to know, and it might be a little bit scary, but it asks us to take a leap of faith. So really, that's the big theme of this new moon. If I can put it in one sentence, it's taking a leap of faith into your own genius. So it's like, how are you going to bet on yourself? So we're talking about this moon-Jupiter conjunction here. How are you going to bet on yourself and leap into your own knowing, your own faith in your own big ideas in life? So what's going on right now? And what might you need to let go of? You know, letting go of this, what's in the past, what served you in the past, belief structures and ideas may not serve you so well in the future. So what of that can be let go of? You know, and that's where the full moon is really about that. It's about bringing up to the surface that which has not been recognized. And so often that involves expression, and then it involves this, as you're expressing, you're letting go, you're releasing in the expression. So, and the rest of the moon cycle from here, from the full moon until the new moon over the next 2 weeks, is about letting go. It's about recognizing what is no longer serving and what we're no longer needing and what we can release. And so with this new moon, again, it's about releasing those old belief structures. And it's also about drawing ourselves out of the shadows, drawing ourselves, our you know, our pride and honor and our sense of warmth and connection. How can we bring that to ourselves? How can we appreciate our own genius and our own ideas and bring that out, bring that up, and express that and leap into that? Really trust and have faith in that, and trust that that's developing. And it's a good time to figure that out too. You know, maybe you don't know what that is. That's of course, you know, that's not that's fairly common. Why? And so it's a good time with Jupiter in retrograde here. You can see that Jupiter is a time for introspection, for figuring out, you know, how am I, you know, climbing into something bigger? How am I climbing the ladder of my own genius? And what does that look like? And so that's another part of it that could play out over the next 2 weeks. So be looking for that. Be looking for these big ideas to come up and find expression in the full moon, and then playing out through the next couple of weeks of how do you know, how can you be stepping into that light, into that heart light in your own heart space, and expressing your own great ideas. So that's kind of the gist of that full moon itself. And then we've got a couple other things going on that aren't exactly in relationship to the full moon, by which I mean, you know, that axis we just talked about was in direct relationship to the full moon, that square of the nodes. But here, then we have, let's see, I'm going to leave that up in red. We've got this axis going on. Well, we'll get there in a second. My computer's being a little slow. And so this cross between the nodes of the moon and the full moon here. And so Uranus and Mars are in an exact trine right now. So we have Uranus over here and Mars over here. Mars, you can see, is conjunct Mercury. We'll talk about that too. But Uranus and Mars, then, the great disruptor and the energy and desire of Mars. Like, what are we putting forth? Mars in Virgo is a sign of health and organization. It's a sign of, it's an earth sign. And you notice Taurus, Uranus is in Taurus, another earth sign. All the trines happen in the signs of the same elements. So Uranus in Taurus is disrupting. Earth is material things. It's life on Earth. It's our material life. And so Uranus is disrupting our material life, if you haven't noticed, for this whole year and beyond, last year too. And so here, this is kind of about how are we cleaning up our life? You know, how are we, Virgo has that energy of hygiene, of health, of doing the right things, and of being orderly and getting things done and organized and working on a skill and getting better and better at it and honing that, being of service to others. And so here, it's kind of asking us, how can this Uranus energy, which is disruptive to the old, which can feel unstable, but it's actually an opportunity to bring in some new things. And Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius as well. So we're just talking about Aquarius, which is a sign the moon's in, of course. And Uranus, Aquarius is ruled by Uranus. It's co-ruled by Uranus and Saturn. So I'll get into that a little more in a minute. But Uranus then and Aquarius is to say that these are similar energies. So Uranus brings that disruptive, that you know, new idea kind of energy to it. And so what are the new, how are these new ideas playing into, you know, your actions and your desires? And with Mercury here, your perceptions and communications and ideas. Mercury is just that, our mind, our perceptions, ideas, and words and thoughts, and how we organize all of that. Virgo is about organizing. So there's a big key for this new moon. It's a great time for organizing our ideas and our actions, you know, our Mercury and our Mars, ideas and actions, organizing those into, you know, what is the new thing that we're working on, or what are we working towards, and what is our, how are we expressing that genius? What does that look like in terms of our thoughts and our actions? And so, you know, how can we bring that genius energy and that disruptive, you know, outside the box kind of energy to our thoughts and actions? And what will that do for us? So it's a good time for observing that and for organizing our thoughts and actions. Good time for maybe journaling about that. You know, what kind of ideas, what kind of big things are coming up? What do you want to be doing for the rest of this year and into next year? How are you reorganizing your perceptions around where your actions are taking you? And so this is a time, again, of focusing, of stepping into your mastery. So it's really a powerful moon here for that, for stepping into mastery and for organizing thoughts and actions towards that end, towards manifesting that in something concrete. And so we're talking about earth signs, and those earth signs are always things that are concrete. So we have Saturn over here, which co-rules Aquarius, in the sign of, it's also in the sign of Aquarius. It's been retrograde. We've been talking about this Uranus-Saturn square for a while. So we have this. These two are 90 degrees to one another, Uranus and Saturn. That's going on all year. Remember, we had those conjunctions in I think it was January, June, and in December we'll have another one. And Uranus has just turned retrograde. So with these retrograde planets, Saturn is retrograde, Jupiter is retrograde, Uranus has just turned retrograde. It's about looking inward. It's a time of kind of seeing of this energy being reflected, and it's a reflective kind of time. So disrupting the systems. Saturn is the systems, it's the organization, it's the structures that we have in our life. And so that's what we're seeing being disrupted. And so this is a great time, as I said, just pulling it back to that Mars Mercury, a great time for reorganizing then. These systems have been disrupted, but we got to start something new. You know, we got to step into something new. And so this is the chance. This is the time when that's being brought forth, being beckoned out of the darkness and into the light at this full moon in Aquarius at the 29th degree of mastery there, of your own self-mastery. And so what are we bringing out? And so the third part of this, then we had the full moon itself and talked about it square to the nodes. And then this Uranus, Mars trine there, which are working together. And the third aspect here, create a little space, is Saturn and Venus. So we notice Venus at 7 degrees, Saturn at 8 degrees. They're in a trine, so they're working together here. Venus relationship, are how we relate to the world, how do we relate to other people, to life. Venus in Libra, in the sign of its rulership. You know, Venus rules Libra. And so here, Venus is to say that Venus is in a really strong place. So our own inner magnetism, our own relationships are in a really, we're in a strong, Venus is in a strong place of supporting our relationships and our ability to see clearly those relationships and participate in them fairly. So fairly because Libra, the sign of balance, fairness, balance, equality, harmony, finding high ideals. Libra brings all of these things out. So how can we bring some of these high ideals into a structure? You know, how can we structure them and bring them into a new level of maturity? Saturn is a tough planet. We mentioned earlier how Jupiter is the great benefic. So the opposite of that, Saturn, is the great malefic, traditional astrology. With modern astrology, we kind of go beyond these boundaries and look at the potential expression of these. So Saturn sets limitations, it sets boundaries, it kind of draws in and it constricts things in our life, which sometimes feels limiting. And so that's why it's called the great malefic. It can limit our life in ways, but sometimes boundaries are a good thing. You know, we set boundaries and the boundaries contain us. They provide a container for our expression and for that to come out, for something to find form, material form. Saturn is a planet associated with Capricorn, the earth signs. So how are we structuring and coming into new maturity? You know, Saturn, we set boundaries, we set goals, we take steps to achieve these goals, and we master them over time. Saturn, the Lord of time, Father Time, is an image associated with Saturn. And so we all have a certain amount of time on Earth, and what do we choose to do with that time? How do we use it wisely? How do we use it responsibly? How do we become more mature in our life? Those are Saturn themes. And so in this case, how do we become more mature, more responsible in our relationships when we're looking at this Saturn-Venus relationship that is a trine here? So with this Saturn retrograde, you know, we're kind of looking at that in ourselves. How are we stepping into new patterns, new ideas? Again, Saturn in Aquarius, an air sign of ideas. So what are our new ideas that are bringing us into greater levels of maturity in our own life and greater levels of, you know, of expressing the possibilities of stepping into manifesting the possibilities. So those possibilities finding form, And so stepping into new maturity in our relationship, in our relationships, and in our relationships, not only with people, but with life itself, with our own path forward. We see that there's actually a third thing in this trine. It's the North Node, the path forward on the soul's journey. So we're all here on a great journey. Our soul is here to learn and grow, and this is right now signifies the path forward. So really stepping into new maturity in relationships on our path forward. And all of that in the context of this new moon, again, highlighting that genius, that mastery, the 29th degree of Aquarius. So that mastery degree. So really bringing all that out. It's a lot going on, a lot of positive things. Just to recap it right quick, is to say, bringing out that mastery, stepping into faith, Moon and Jupiter there, faith in ourselves, faith in our own capacity to step into new levels of maturity. The work that you've been doing, if you've been putting in the time, introspective time to know yourself better, then this is a time when that can mature in its manifestation and come out, begin to come out and play out in material or constructive ways in your life. And if not, if you've been, working and just out busy in the world, getting things done, this is a good time to step back and look inward and really consider, what is it that I want to mature in myself and in my relationships, and how do I want to organize my actions? So those are the three things: the moon, our own inner genius, how are we organizing our actions, and then how are we stepping into maturity in our relationship to others and to the world and life itself, and finally our soul's path, the journey forward, the North Node. All right, so beautiful. I hope that's helpful and inspiring to you. It certainly will be to me. It'll be it'll be exciting to see how this comes out. New moons, this expression, it's not so much a pre-planned things. It's like, get out and just express yourself and try and find some freedom in that, and see what comes out. What comes out and up and out in the new moon is going to bring you into a new level of self-mastery here. So be exciting to see what that is. Maybe you'll get into some into some creative endeavors, whatever that looks like with you. I'm thinking of Leo and the connection to others. So maybe you'll connect with others in this full moon in a way that allows you to be yourself in the presence of others. So that's kind of what this balance is. It's about finding that balance of being yourself and expressing your own voice and uniqueness, the Aquarius, in connection, in relationship, and honoring and appreciation, that heart connection of Leo. So that's the axis there, the balance.